Hello and welcome to my sacred space, y'all. My name is Mom Victoria. I'm a mental health therapist and intuitive energy worker, and I specialize in spirituality and healing through the intersection of mental health and spirituality. So Mimi is here with us. Hi, Mimi. And Kinsey is here with us. Hello, Kinsey, and thank you for the intro compliment. Um, Guys, we are here for astrocartography and astrology readings, but also this is just a space of commune. This is why I call it Solar Sisters, because clearly we all have something in common, right? We all have interests. Not only are we part of the same cosmic consciousness and galaxy, we're also kind of being pulled together in this space, which I'm honored to hold, because we're interested in the same thing. So I am going to be reading Kinsey first. I'm going to do 3 readings max. Kinsey is the first in line. And anybody else who wants to be read, look at the banner below and just insert your information, and I'll be able to keep looking at it. But for starters, I am going to check the Cosmic Oracle, Cosmic Dancer Oracle kit, which is one of my favorite. Dance and movement has been so integral in my life lately, to give us a quick little message, all right? So today's card is reminding us to retreat and recharge. Now, how spot on is that? In the midst of retrograde central, right? That we remember to retreat and recharge, that sometimes it's not always about the movement forward, it's about the stillness, right? It's about the our ability to refuel so that we can keep going. So I'm going to read the message that includes. And if you like this deck, y'all, shameless plug, my favorite oracle and tarot cards are in the description box below in my Amazon storefront. So let's see, retreat and recharge. Your aims will be best served by stepping back, going within, and taking some quality time to rest, refresh, and reassess. Although it may seem counterintuitive and there is much work to be done, and you're striving to reach a goal, you will get where you want to go more easily and enjoyably if your body, mind, and spirit have a chance to relax deeply so that you may emerge refreshed. Just as soil cannot be constantly cultivated if it is to bring forth a lush and abundant crop, we cannot drive ourselves relentlessly and expect to thrive. I can't tell y'all how often I have to talk about that in my therapy sessions with my clients and to me. But anyway, consider also the dance of the moon, which regularly waxes, wanes, and disappears behind the veil before emerging again to bless the earth with her gorgeous, magical light. Take a moment to relax deeply, breathe in and out, noticing where you're holding tension in your body. Breathe into those areas and let them release. Once you feel centered and grounded, you will know what this card means for you. All right, so I think also super relevant, right? It's Virgo season. And Virgo season is all about getting the details, right? Virgo is over the harvest. So it's all of the daily atomic habit routines. And sometimes what I talk about with my clients is that you doing the daily habits, right? The routines of responsibility and obligation, they may not seem overwhelming in a particular day, but with time, right? When you're doing that for 6 months, when you're doing that for 4 weeks without making time to rest and recharge, right? Making time to be creative, making time to refuel, it really can erode, right, at the energy. So I hope we're all able to reassess, rest, and recharge. In the meantime, let's get Kinsey's information. So we are going to be looking at Kinsey. You are currently in Minneapolis. You want to move to California. Tell me, is there while I go get your birth chart information and whatnot, is there a particular desire? Like, why? Why California? So getting back to the screen, Kenzie says, I've always been drawn to California and the ocean especially. My mom and a lot of the women in my family were also born and raised there, so it feels like home. Yeah, that's cool. So the closest line when we're thinking about what's activating the energy out there for you, the closest line is actually that Pluto. And the Pluto's on your lower, I'm sorry, not your lower. It's on your midheaven. Um, so when we think about Pluto on a midheaven, it looks a lot like transformation, right? Rebirth. Maybe this was a time while you being in Minnesota of really changing your career prospect, right? Maybe like you followed your heart, you were in one field and then you shifted. Because Pluto gives us the opportunity to kind of look at the way things are and assess, do we want it like this? Right? You have the option to say, no, I don't. I'm going to clear the cards off the table. But also the energy of Pluto is that it might clear it for you, right? You might become aware and see that like, oh, I should make a change, but be procrastinating and be waiting, and then it's gonna go. It's gonna happen anyway because Pluto was like, baby, I tried to show you. And let me see, your Pluto is in Sagittarius. And, again, that looks a lot like ambition, right? The way that you have your philosophy, and perhaps specifically, again, with that midheaven of what is your purpose? What are you here for? That might have been a mission of clarity or a process of clarity out there. Um, Now, when we look at where you're trying to go, which is California, we have you have another sandwich, right? So your Venus on the ascendant is kind of arcing over just the whole western region. It's more so touching like Seattle, Washington, those areas, Oregon, but it's also kind of, you know, you have your lines actually have about 500 miles of influence in either direction in radius. So there's still a soft energy of that Venus ascendant going all the way down that west coast. More relevantly is your nodes, right? The moon's nodes on your midheaven, which is very fitting, very fitting, because you have, this big transformation and recognition in Pluto, with Pluto in Minneapolis, and then that node, the balance between the north and the south node over here in California on the west coast, is gonna really put destiny and karma into play, right? So you have a lot of the power and perhaps awareness and maybe like very oriented actions over here in the Midwest. But when it comes to moving over towards the Western Hemisphere, a lot more of the universe is working with you, right? Because the moon's north and south nodes tell us about our highest destiny, right? So what is the purpose that our soul was here to fulfill? Which is interesting because you say you're so many women in your family were from over here, right? Well, it looks like there is a bloodline mission, perhaps of sorts over here, right? And in that south node, again, talking about karma, what it is that you can kind of expect, the lessons you can learn, and the patterns perhaps that you might be needing to shed, or patterns and rituals that might be useful to pick up. People always say you look like you're from Seattle. That's interesting because your Venus, the other line to the point, I'm sorry, is Venus on the ascendant, right? Which is all about our expression, but also our appearance, and help you see the beauty in life. Yeah, going to Portland at the end of the month. Beautiful. I says, please, you guys say hi to my kitty. She likes my baby. Kenzie, I can give you more information. You can hit the Gmail, my account and my Gmail. My Gmail is in the description box below. And sorry, y'all, I'm repeating so much. It's because the echo is now in my ear. So it's driving me crazy just a little bit. But y'all don't hear it. So that is the cross that I bear for this stream. For sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and jump over to Mimi, darling. Are you still here? It is your turn, and you're looking at a out of the country move. So give me a second to get the information. And in the meantime, tell me why you're looking at Wellington, New Zealand. So, ma'am, I'm looking at your astro map now. And I'm going to zoom into home to see what type of energy that you may be outgrowing in Texas. Many times when I ask people, like, you know, why they're interested in moving, why they're leaving, it's just that perhaps whatever you were whatever you were supposed to learn, right? Lessons, it serves you already. And it's time to move around. Mimi, you hate it here. Been wanting to move abroad for a while. You visited New Zealand years back and loved it, but you're also open to. Well, why do you hate it, baby? In the meantime, you know, throw that in the chat. And now that I'm looking at your astro map, I might see why you hate it. So here's the thing, right? You have your sun on the midheaven out here, and let me see. Hold on, let me go look at your actual birth chart. 17. The thing with the sun on the midheaven is that it's so front and center, like it's so spotlighted, then it can be like, damn, like y'all, I actually am tired of being, you know, on the forefront, or like I actually don't like the way that you guys perceive me, right? Or the way that you're being perceived in general. Let me look at your planets. Oh, just kidding. Your sun is not in Virgo. Your sun's in Scorpio. Your sun's in Scorpio. Okay. Well, well, what a private sign, right? Being right on the forefront. I'm sure that must be uncomfortable. Sometimes, at least, right? Because what we're looking at, you actually have a sandwich between that sun on the midheaven and your Chiron on the lower midheaven. And Chiron is the wounded healer. So it tells us about the parts of ourselves, much like the shadow, right? The parts of ourselves that perhaps we hide. The parts of ourselves that we might find shame in, that we might have been wounded by ourselves. And with this sandwich, it might be like this duality. I'm getting this duality between you showing up, right? With that sun on the midheaven, showing up in the world in one way, but perhaps having this turmoil in your mind, right? Or having this turmoil in your emotions that fractures the two. It makes it really hard to feel, you know, connected, really hard to feel like you're one whole. Doesn't really feel like home. Yeah. So when I'm looking at that Chiron and perhaps really the weight and the pressure that the politics are doing to you internally, it's probably really hard to like keep acting like you can take it. Keep acting like you like it there. You've become an accomplished actress trying to make other people comfortable and maintain your privacy. Yeah, that, and the thing is, congratulations, first of all. We love that for you. But also the thing is, like, I talk to so many people about this. Masking is exhausting. Masking is exhausting. And sometimes we mask because, you know, it's part of our fight or flight response, right? We go that fawn route, I'm sorry. But sometimes it's because, please, sometimes it's because we just want to get people up out our faces as quickly as possible. Sometimes it's because we just want to diffuse, right? distract, to get away from. So obviously moving to the other side of the globe will give you some retrieve, rest and recharge, right? To the point of the card that we pulled earlier today. I said, do you have to do this or not? Why are you like this? What's up, boo? So let's look and see at what changes as you move around to the other part of the globe. Oh, I get it. You're an actress. Okay. You be acting. Yeah. Okay. Super Kiana, you want a reading? You don't want to get one without asking if I'm still in the space. Yeah, no, it's cool, babe. You'll be the last one. If anybody else jumps in, sorry, baby, you'll have to catch the next one. But Kiana, I saw your information. I'm having a hard time trying to scroll through the comments. For some reason, I can't really see them all at the same time, but you press on, baby. I'll figure it out. New Zealand is, I'm going to go further west. Okay, so you'll have this like sandwich energy. The most relevant line over there for you is your Mars on the ascendant, which is interesting. I'm not trying to be your therapist, but tell me really quickly, Mimi, the reason that you are acting, right? The reason that you give a certain persona, what is that out of? What are you trying to avoid or hide? Because sometimes it's just like, I'm just literally a private person. I don't want people in my business. Sometimes it's because we're afraid of conflict. Because the masking that's being done over here in Texas completely changes in Wellington. Yeah, I assume people pleasing, being guarded, and granted, again, that Scorpio energy wants to retreat, right? And kind of wants to pull in, which is okay. Like, it's okay to be private, but all things exist on a spectrum, right? It's no man is an island. None of us are supposed to be in isolation. And separate ourselves, right? Our authentic selves from the world in all places and spaces. So that can really do a number on your psyche, right? Because, and I'm not necessarily diagnosing you, but one thing about isolation and being guarded and retreating, shame, they like this. They are like this. And it can become a feedback loop, right? Where even if you're not retreating and you're not isolating and being super private because you're ashamed of yourself, spending so much time away from people and disconnecting and separating the authentic versions and expressions and thoughts and emotions and creations that you have for the world, keeping that to yourself can convince you that you shouldn't share, right? That there is no value in it. And it's just a very slippery slope. It's a very slippery slope going between the two. But I ask that because when it comes to Wellington, your Mars is on the ascendant, which is all about assertion, strength, right? Like the way that you show up in the world, and can take up space in a room and not be ashamed, not be pulling back into yourself, right? Mine is also low key, like a bit more challenging. So it can be challenging, on maybe the internal level, but with the ascendant, we're looking at not necessarily you having harder times, but you challenging the world more, right? Maybe being less likely to acquiesce, to people please, because, and that's a beautiful thing about traveling. You just be like, and who are y'all? Why do y'all deserve? Why am I still masking over here? We don't even speak the same language, right? Or we don't even know the same world. It's so much easier to show up as your authentic self when you are removed from the environment that is perhaps um, causing pain or has caused pain, that feels so familiar that it feels like maybe you're in a box in when it comes to your identity and expression. So that Mars in the ascendant gives you a lot more confidence, I'm sure, right? Gives you a lot more courage. Um, and perhaps there's a little bit less resistance. That Scorpio energy, right? That tells you, maybe has you overthinking, or has you conspiring a little bit more. You can release that over here. You live in your head. But let me tell you one thing that I know professionally. One thing that I know professionally is living in your head typically disconnects us from our body. And if you don't have a habit or a practice now of movement, then things are going to be a lot more difficult. And I mean movement, like, because so many of us live sedentary lifestyles. We are working from home or working in the office. We sit on the couch. We sit, in the chair. Be moving your body, right? Paying attention to your breath. Our minds are so powerful, and there's so much depth and creative space that we can use for good or evil, right? For ourselves. We can think good thoughts. We can be positive minded and growth minded, or we can spiral into negativity. We can spiral into pessimism and fear. But because we create our reality with this thing up here, right? When that is disconnected from this, the script can go way off. Ooh, I almost ended the stream. Dead from the neck down. And you know what's crazy is that as women, right, as the feminine, we all have the feminine in us, but when we iterate that energy, it's very much sensual, right? Sensuality, not sexuality, but our ability to sense, right? That's where a woman's intuition comes from, is being in alignment and attunement with our senses. So knowing what you smell, knowing how you feel, right? Knowing that butterflies in your stomach mean that you're nervous. Knowing that tension in your neck means that you need to take some time to relax and recharge. Knowing that the chills that you get when you're with that particular person perhaps mean that you don't feel safe, or maybe you really like them, right? But that's the thing. That's the code that we all. Yeah. My cat was in the toilet. Sorry, but that's the code that we all need to crack, of our own bodies and our own energy bodies, our own healing, our own intuition. We connect and align with our intuition when we connect the mind and body together. And we do that through meditation, through mindfulness, through movement, mindful movement, right? Instead of avoiding and numbing our feelings, which if you're masking on the external, you're masking to the people, you're probably masking here too. All right, yeah. You know that you should be taking walks. You know that you need to cut that person off, but you're just gonna smoke some weed about it. You're gonna take a nap about it, right? That avoidance, not good, baby. We need to tune in. Queen, hello, darling. So I only have time for one more today. There was somebody ahead of you, but please feel free to join the next one. I have my devices now. My time is less, crazy lately, so I'll be doing another one within like the next 2 weeks. Or you can also always go to my website, mutedearthvirgo.com. and book a 1 hour reading with me. Those are a lot more in depth, and you can use code RISE for $15 off. Okay, back to you, Mimi. Give me a second. Your sun and your Pluto move to the 12th house from the 9th house. And that 12th house is all about our transcendence, right? How we transcend our what is tangible, right? Our reality, and tap into the power of creation, of being able to to transmute what we feel. So that is a beautiful connection, an invitation again of the energy to connect mind and body and spirit ultimately, right? This is a beautiful place, and your Pluto is at home in the 12th house. So that probably also feels a lot better, right? That sense of wanting privacy, that sense of perhaps overthinking, gets turned down because Pluto's home here. Pluto's not out of its elements. So this might be a really, even if you can do it like for a short week vacation, or you know what I mean, just a little bit of time, then it looks like a really good opportunity to kind of just get more in alignment with an environment that helps you, right, with your intentions. And to that point, y'all, astrocartography this is not a fortune telling psychic service. This is about seeing the energy of location. So the magic is you aligning your intentions with it. And to that point, yes, traveling to a particular area highlights and activates that energy, but you can also activate that energy where you are right now. So Mimi, yes, going to New Zealand probably feels really easy. It feels really good, right? And perhaps there's an effort and attention needed to be more assertive, to feel less guarded, to feel more connected in appreciation of like spirituality, nature, just the forces of life. But with your intentions, right? If you intentionally work on being more assertive, if you intentionally work on cutting off the relationships, that make you have to mask in the first place, if you intentionally work on, and maybe not cut them off, right? But if you intentionally work on finding community that you can be your authentic self with, you're tapping into that energy, right? You're tapping into that Mars energy. And we all have the ability to activate that line and you know what I mean? Like those energies within ourselves, through will, right? The free will that God gave us. Also, listen to some New Zealand music, watching New Zealand shows, listening to the language, looking at the art, surrounding yourself in the art, right? There are all types of hacks. I hope that was helpful, darling. But that's off again for sake of time that I'm gonna go through. Like I mentioned, y'all, these readings are really brief, because I try to get through 3 per live. But if you book directly on my website, you get a 1 hour reading. I look at your birth chart. I look at your astro maps. I look at your relocated charts. I look at your transits. I look at, aspects. So there's so much more nuance and details astrology has. But this is a really good, rule of thumb, like a general overarching system. Thank you, darling. Hope that was helpful. Okay, Kiana, you are next, boo. Let me see if I can figure out how to scroll up. Yeah. Okay. So, June 4th, 1999, 2:30 a.m., crack of dawn. Okay. So, Kiana, tell me a little bit about why you are looking for a move. Because what I see is that you actually don't have a lot of lines. Like, it's funny because America America has a lot of lines in it, but it's more so in the western, like Midwest area. Where you are is like in this sandwich of very neutral energy. And neutral energy is, just that. It's neutral. It's peaceful, not too much going on, but it can get boring, right? You might be feeling like, damn, like I'm just ready to move around. Like I'm ready to actually explore or activate certain areas of my life. Where you're located, and currently while you're in Ohio, the most relevant energy is Mercury on the lower midheaven. Um, and that's a pretty good distance away, right? So if the energy is actually if the energy is actually like on the line, like a downpour or a waterfall, right, where the current is really strong, when you get really far away, it's more just like a mist. Like it's just a little sprinkle of Mercury on the lower midheaven, just a little bit. Oh, let's see. Oh, congratulations. Congratulations on being a new mommy. And you're ready for something new. Yikes. Okay. Yeah, sabotaging mom, narcissist mom, parent. We love that you're making boundaries. Sorry, construction's happening. That's not very sexy. But yeah, first of all, congratulations to you for setting boundaries. Yikes. Hold on, I'm gonna mute myself. Oh shit, that didn't even mute it. Wait, wrong camera. Okay, y'all. We just gonna power through it for sake of time. Um, Kiana, congratulations to you for setting boundaries, and it may seem on the surface level, right? You are creating distance, protecting yourself on an energetic, DNA, and karmic level. Being aware of this and stopping that pattern is breaking generational curses. So in all seriousness, I'm so proud of you for being able to, look at this, right? To look at this as an option. Kenzie, breakfast sounds so delicious. I'm gonna eat right after this. I'm gonna eat right after your reading, Kiana. So let me jump back down. I know, right? Look, something's trying to stop you from hearing this good old message, baby. But we are persistent. Okay. So that Mercury on the lower midheaven, to that point of where you are right now in Ohio, it's just giving you a little bit of sprinkle of the energy of clear communication, right? Really being able to hear and like be aware of how you're learning, what you're learning, right? Even subconsciously. Perhaps you're recognizing the patterns. Perhaps you had the progress of learning, oh, I'm not crazy, mom's crazy. Right? Like, oh, I'm being gaslit in with this person or in this area, right? So there's that spark of insight over here that really helps with psychoanalysis, right? That allows us to raise our consciousness beyond the status quo, right? The default that ego usually has us trapped in. I'm going to look at your aspects real quick just because of your circumstances or situation. Right next to yourself, to Akron, I mean, your Venus is trine your ascendant. So maybe relationships have been a way that you have escaped, right? Escape the thing, just the stressors of life, right? the things that make us feel fear, make us feel anxiety, you might find that in love. You might find that in dating and romance. Um, and that energy is very easy for you to tap into there, right? But that still doesn't necessarily fix the insights. Because usually what happens, if we're in a relationship with people, especially very early in our journeys through life, is that, like I was talking about with Kiana, you become aware that you need to do these particular things, and you raise your consciousness and awareness to know, oh, okay, I should change this. I should be going this way instead of that way, right? But when you connect with another person, whether it's romantic or not, and you have deep, intimate connections, you kind of, it's very easy to fall into their orb of energy, right? So maybe you want to make these moves, but not to say that person's holding you back, but, right, there's a frequency that the two of you are on, and sometimes it's hard to stray further away because we feel comfortable here, right? We feel love here. This person, this thing, this relationship helps us regulate, helps us, our nervous system relax. So then when we think about, like, damn, what I want to do, my mission, what I feel like, my calling is telling me to do is to leave this, we'd be like, never mind. No, just not right now. I'll do it later. You want to break these curses so your baby has a choice, and doesn't feel obligated to deal with toxic family or still energy. Yeah. Yeah, that is revolutionary. Revolutionary. Big old love bug. She a lover girl, y'all. Tired of men leeching off of you. Protecting that energy. Yeah, protecting your energy is super important. Especially with the balance between the masculine and the feminine, just because the world that we're in today has made our relationship so, like, transactional. Like, we approach things so transactionally and so exploitatively. So when you are aware, right, when you recognize, like, oh no, I want to love that's reciprocal. I want to love that feeds me, that gives me what I'm giving in return, right? This is the number of hits goes way down, right? You might have to do way more dating to find way less actual matches, and the challenge with that can be recognizing that doesn't mean that you're not worthy. It doesn't mean that that all men are trash. It's just a matter of probability, right? When your value and your standards raise, the general public gets weeded out. But anyway, okay, let me get to your turn. I am gonna jump over to Japan. You're trying shadow work. Yeah, that helps you realize why you keep picking certain type of man. Not to start a therapy session, but probably has a lot to do with mom. Yeah, narcissistic relationships, narcissistic abuse, really sets the bar in hell for what we think is healthy, right? So if all your life you have been eating shit, and then I say, here is a piece of bread and butter, you would be like, oh my god, you gave me bread and butter? You must really care. Right? And sometimes I might even warm up the bread, right? And then you'd be like, damn, wow, you're so amazing. You really right? But yeah, that person gave you bread and butter, but really what they have is steak. But you're fine with the bread and butter because you've been eating shit for so long, right? And that's a process of shadow work, right? Self-worth, shifting your core beliefs, affirmation that's needed to build that back up. So you know your worth. Yoko Shima. So you have this sandwich of energy um, between your Neptune on the lower midheaven, and Neptune is really a way to kind of withdraw, right, into the creative imagination of your mind. And that Neptune on the lower midheaven, which is all about the subconscious, all about your home and environment, right, um, creates an opportunity for you to perhaps hone that intuition, to look at life and create new realities, right? This is, it's more so actually on the northern tip, but again, because of the radius, that energy is still relevant over here in Yokoshima. Neptune lets you to let you do. Neptune lets you imagine and transcend, which is like beautiful metaphorically, right? For the intention that you're moving. So there's already alignment. There's usually a reason we feel called to a particular place. Okay, okay, babe. Kiana, for sake of time, I can't do your relocated chart. But what I can tell you is generally, typically, um, Venus and Jupiter are some of the most auspicious, right? So the luckiest and most beneficial planets in the birth chart. Venus is all about our sense of love, our sense of sexuality, beauty, aesthetics, right? And not just physical appearance, but like just finding beauty in life, finding ease, right? And then Jupiter is all about luck, expansion, growth, and abundance. So these right next to each other, I have chills. It's a beautiful opportunity. Um, so at the same time, right, that Neptune is over here, which can make things a little dooloo, right? Especially with all that luck and all that beneficial energy. I could not believe the noise. But yeah, especially with all that luck and all that beneficial energy, it can go to our head sometimes, right? When it's just easy, sometimes we stop doing the work. Ooh. Right? I've had to get on myself for this and many of my clients, because it's like, you ever been stressed out and you're burnt out and you're traumatic, and it's real easy to do all your self-care for a week, right? To be in prayer, to be in meditation. And then when things start going good, we haven't touched our candles, our sage, right? Our crystals, our Bible, whatever it is you use. You haven't touched it in weeks. So, if I could give you any advice, it would be to go over there with the intention of doing the work, which is what you're mentioning, but not stopping because you feel like you won, right? Or you're done. And that's not in a nihilistic way. Not in a nihilistic way of like you'll never be healed, but like making sure you stay aware. Yeah. But Japan has really, really aligning energy with, from what I'm hearing, where you are in your life and what you're trying to activate. Since I didn't look at your relocated chart, I will look at your aspects. So let me see. Your Chiron is trine your midheaven. Excuse me. Your Chiron is trine your midheaven over here, which allows you to really tap into and be aware of that conscious reprogramming that you're doing, subconscious and conscious reprogramming. So your individuality, right, can really shine. Your authenticity can really shine. So this is a, Chiron, that wounded healer, not only heals himself, but then he heals others. So there might even be like a mastery that you're able to learn. And I immediately think of as a mom, that will start with your seed, but you might be surprised at like how much you share, right? How much you learn that sharing your story with the world um, can be not just financially abundant, but also like just rewarding, gratifying to your soul. Uh, yeah, you need to get back in touch with your spiritual work. And to the point that I was telling the other people, Kiana, yes, traveling to Japan makes all of this easier because that's the alignment of the energy, right? That's what the environment kind of makes it easier to do for you. But you have the power right now to activate those lines, right? It's with your intentions. And again, maybe eating ramen will help. Maybe watching some Japan documentaries or practicing the language will help bring that location's energy to your space. But the magic is here, y'all. The magic's here. And yeah, I think that a vlog is such a good idea. Obviously, I'm biased. I travel and I love watching people's travel stories, but you know, I got into astrocartography because I started recognizing that travel was changing me for the better. Um, and this created a framework for me to understand like how and why, right? Sometimes we just need to leave an environment. Sometimes we just need to leave a physical space um, to recharge certain aspects of ourselves, right? Or activate and unlock certain aspects of ourselves. So I am so grateful for all of you who popped in here today. Again, my name is Lauren Victoria. I go by Muted Earth Virgo on all social media platforms. Please follow me, reach out to me. You can also contact me on my website, mutedearth.com. I offer free readings in the Solar Sisters live series. And if you want your own reading, you can visit my website for 55-minute sessions. I'm sorry, y'all. That's my therapy time. It's 1 hour sessions. And you can use the code RISE for 15% off of your readings. I hope all y'all have a beautiful, beautiful day. And I will see you on the other side of the internet somewhere. All right. Bye, y'all.